Okay, welcome everyone. As we learn Torah Hashem, Be'ezus Hashem Yisbarach, as we always do in the beginning of the shir, we give thanks to TorahAnytime.com for giving us this amazing platform to teach Torah all over the world, literally, and to Kol HaLashon for its global network. We thank our subscribers, our Zoomers, the people that are listening on Torah Communications Network, who are viewing us on YouTube and on other places that carry this share that I'm not even aware of. Tonight we received a sponsor 10 minutes before the Daf Yomi, and the sponsor came by text. It's an anonymous sponsorship, and it's Ilui Nishmas Chaya Pesa Bas Chaim, Shmuel ben Shimon, and Mendel ben Shimon, that the neshama should have an aliyah, should have a lichtige Gan Eden, and be a melitza yosher for their family, for all of us and all of Klal Yisrael. As I mentioned, it's a little bit tense to wait till the last minute to get a sponsor. If you would like to sponsor the share, which is heard all over the world, and by sometimes by well over 1,000 people, just on Torah Anytime alone, 718-916-3100. You could text me, 718-916-3100, or email at rmmwsi@aol.com. The pasuk says, Re'ei, Karasi b'shem Betzalel ben Uri ben Chur. I have called by name to build my Mishkan, Betzalel ben Uri ben Chur. That's Betzalel, the son of Uri, the son of Chur. Rav Leibel Katz, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, Schusa Yogan Aleinu, asks, why are we Vayakheil? Why do we give the genealogy to two generations? Usually we give one generation. Elisheva bas Aminadav, right? Yeshua ben Nun. Why over here does the pedigree go back 2 generations to Chur? And he says it's because Chur sacrificed his life to avoid the Chilul Hashem of the Cheta Egel, and to be Mekadesh Shem Shemayim, he put his life on the line. We know that they asked him first, before Aaron, to participate in the Egel Azav, and he said no, and they killed him. They killed Chur. Chur is, by the way, an anagram of Ruach, of spirit, because he was a spirited man. Isha asher Ruach bai. He had a great spirit to him. And also Chur means white. He was pure like the driven snow, right? We know it means white. Chur karpas uscheiles. The Chur means white. So he was white, pure, and he had Ruach. And therefore, Betzalel was only 13 when he created the Mishkan, when he built the Mishkan. Therefore, it's an obvious question, why did he merit such a thing? And therefore, we are taught it's because he had a Zayda Chur. And it says that anyone who is Mekadesh Shem Shemayim and is Moiser Nefesh and sacrifices not to be Mechalel Hashem, not to desecrate Hashem, is either Zaycha for himself or for his children or for his grandchildren, very great things. I want you to know that this is a tremendous concept in Yiddishkeit, that descendants get benefit from their immediate ancestors. I think about myself, that I've accomplished to teach Torah to the masses all over the world. In what merit? So my father of blessed memory, Reb Aaron Tzvi ben Rameir, when he was 16 years old, he crossed the wicked monster Mengele. They called him the angel of death. 3 times. 3 times Mengele stood with his white glove going right and left and selected my father to write 3 times. But in the process, my father saw his father, his mother, 4 brothers, a sister, an uncle, sent to the gas chambers. And when he was liberated by the Americans from the death march, he was a double orphan at the age of 16. He was a double orphan at the age of 16. His entire family destroyed. And yet, he continued to put on tefillin. He continued to keep Shabbos. And he continued to daven in the minyan. My father worked in Carter's leather goods in Manhattan for 30 years. But he would always go. He would take the train into Manhattan. But he would always go to the first minyan in the Svadish Shul before he went. When he came home, he went to Mincha and Ma'ariv in the Svadish Shul. This is a man that saw all the horrors of the Holocaust. So he planted seeds for children, for grandchildren, that are all Shomer Torah mitzvahs, every single one of them. That comes from the Mesiras Nefesh and the Kiddush Hashem, because it says that anybody that died in Auschwitz is called the Kaddish. Somebody who dies because he's a Jew is a Kaddish. But anybody who survived and after seeing all those terrors still lived like a Torah Jew is Kaddish Kadashim. So he was Mekadosh Shem Shemayim, and that shows in his children, in his grandchildren. My mother, she should live for many years. My mother went to public school as a child. They didn't have options. Maybe if she went on a train as a young girl alone, but there was really no option. She went to public school. And even though she went to public school, she grew up to raise a Torah family, to daven with such emunah, and to do all the mitzvahs. It's the work of the Zaydas, the Babas, the Tatas, the Mamas, that make the generations. They say over there, Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky, Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky said that we see children that came out from Russia, from behind the Iron Curtain, and succeeded in yeshiva. He said the Russians stamped out all Yiddishkeit. It was the opium of the people. They even told the children to inform on their parents. It was a terrible thing. And yet children came with no knowledge and they flourished in yeshiva. And Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky said, how did these children succeed? It was the tears that the Babas and the Zaydas and the Tatas and the Mamas of these children, the tears that they shed, that they couldn't raise their children for Torah, those tears planted them in America to succeed. I want to tell you something. We learned last week, I think I said it for the Shushan Purim table. We learned last week that it says Mordechai ben Yor ben Shimi ben Kish. So there also, why do we mention a generation ben Kish? So the Medrash Shmuel says, because you know where Mordechai and Esther came? It came from the sacrifice of Rebbetzin Kish, Mrs. Kish. When Avshalom was revolting against David HaMelech, his men were chasing 2 loyal tzaddikim and gedolim of David. They were known as Achimotz and Yonasan. And Rebbetzin Kish saw them running, and she said, "Quick, come in here." And she hid them in the yard in a well. And then she sat by the well with herself uncovered. And she saved their lives. So it says that in the merit that she saved these two tzaddikim, there would descend from her two tzaddikim, Mordechai and Esther, that would save Klal Yisrael. So here again you see the act of the ancestors has consequences in later generations. You have to know that a Zayda is called a Zaken. Now, Zaken is a corruption of Zekana Chachma. From there we learn out that we stand up not just for an old person, but even for a young Talmud Chacham, because it says, Mipnei Seva Tokim, from one of hoary old age you get up, V'adarta Pnei Zaken, and you should even revere the Zaken. Now Zaken is a Seva. No. Zaken is Zekana Chachma, even anybody that acquires wisdom. But I want to tell you that Zaken denotes that for another reason. Because Zaken is Zekana Chachma. The Zayda with his Chachma, Zaken is a Zayda, with his Chachma he acquires his descendants. He makes it great for his descendants. We're planting, we're Zayreya Tzedakais. And therefore, we have to take this to the next level. And that is, we Zaydis, and we Babas, and we Elta Zaydis, and Elta Babas, we grandpas and grandmas, we Elta great-grandfathers and great-grandmothers, we have to know that it's our sacrifices, our avoiding Chilul Hashem, and making a Kiddush Hashem, that protects our descendants in a crazy world. We're living in a crazy world. That the President of the United States should have to say in his inaugural address that there's only two types of people, a man and a woman. Duh. But we're living in a crazy world. And we know this from experience. Wie es Christel sich is Yiddel sich. Which means the Yiddish expresses the idea that which is by the Goyim migrates slowly into Yiddish society. And all of the perversion, all of the crookedness of society is creeping into our circles. And therefore we as grandparents, grandfathers and grandmothers, Zaydis and Babas have to know that our Mesiras Nefesh is going to protect our grandchildren. That's what we have to know. Talking about a way to make a Kiddush Hashem. So it says, Vayakheil Moshe es kol hadas b'nei Yisrael. Moshe gathered the entire assemblage of Bnei Yisrael. So the Gemara in Yuma, on Daf Pei Vav and Aleph, says that Afal Picha Tshuva v'Yom Kippurim v'Yisurin, even though the big three of repentance, Yom Kippur, and suffering, Mechaprin ala Chumras, ala Chamurais, atones even for serious, severe sins, Aval Chilul Hashem Rachmana litzlan. But to desecrate Hashem's name, Eina mechaper elamisa. Only death atones for it. However, we know that there's another way besides the grave to be mechaper for Chilul Hashem. It's unfortunately easy to make a Chilul Hashem. Person is coming home from a wedding, and there's traffic, and there's a long red light, and when a green light, somebody in front of him is on the phone and he doesn't move, and he starts honking and honking and honking at 12:30 in the morning. And there's a Goyish woman that leans out from the window and calls out, "You blank Jews!" That's a Chilul Hashem. That's a Chilul Hashem. A terrible thing, a Chilul Hashem. So is that only way to atone for that is death? So we know that you could atone for Chilul Hashem by making a Kiddush Hashem. There's different ways to make a Kiddush Hashem. Yeah? There's a Goyet in the bus, she's pregnant, and you get up and you give her a seat. There's a woman with two items, and there's a long line before Pesach in the ShopRite. You let her go before, you only have two items. There are many ways to make a Kiddush Hashem. Many ways to make a Kiddush Hashem. You come back, and what happened in the post office is that the clerk was supposed to give you $1 change, but she made a mistake and gave you a 50. It was stuck in the dollar drawer, and she was looking at other things. She gave you a 50. And you come back and you bring back the 50. Now, at the end of the day, when they work on her drawer, if she's short $49, it comes out of her pay. That's the way it works. You bring back the 50, you make such a Kiddush Hashem. You came back with the money? It's cash, there's no way to prove it? A Kiddush Hashem. But here's another way to make a Kiddush Hashem. From this pasuk. Gemara says in Yuma, Sam Sefer, Zechat Tzadik L'Bracha Schus Yagan Aleinu says,